Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm ranking all the decks in the metagame, or at least all the ones that see a lot of play. And keep in mind, there are decks that are worse than this. I'm using Trainer Hill here, which has a bunch of decks, and there's a lot more that I could choose that I'm not ranking. Like other, obviously, I'm not ranking other because, like, what is this? You can see a list of the decks I'm not ranking here. I was considering ranking Conkeldurr and like Arceus and stuff, and Great Testing Mill, but I figured I wouldn't rank those because like who's playing this, right? But then this is based on different things, right? Just ladder, some tournaments, specifically the World Championships. I believe this is the first tier list I made since the World Championships, so that will certainly have some impact on this list. Um, yeah, but yeah, as I said, there are decks that aren't on here. There are decks that are like okay that aren't on here. Just because a deck isn't on here doesn't mean it's bad. And yeah, I feel like that's about it. Some of the decks I'll have to kind of explain as well. And I'm kind of like guessing. Like I think Bayonet is. I'm not sure, but I'm going to be referring to it as like the new Bayonet deck, which I'll get to. But Draco Box is S tier. I think it's the best deck in the game right now. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a massive fan of it. I mean, it's not like that inconsistent, but you don't always attack turn two, which is kind of annoying. Like you don't always attack turn two with any deck, but especially this deck, you'll miss attacks because you need like combo pieces in some manner. So that's a little annoying. But overall, it's a very strong deck. It can it can beat any deck in the game, I feel like, and its damage is really good. It's somewhat tanky. It has spread options. Kyurem, a big help to it. And I think Draco is just a really good deck. It's like kind of hard to play. It's not like the hardest deck to play, but knowing when to use Kyurem and when not to is something you need to keep in mind. And I don't know. I mean, it's just really good. There's not too much to say about the deck, but it is very good. Charizard Pidgeot is going to go in A tier. I think it's a good deck. Honestly, the World Championships it did not do very well. I mean, it didn't do badly, but it didn't do as well as nor I think a lot of other people are expecting. Treasure Pidgeot is good. I think so. There's like two ways to play it. I think there's the Dusknoir line, and that's pretty good, but also like not that consistent. It's like okay. For the fact that it's like a bunch of different stage two lines, it's more consistent than you might think if you haven't played it, but it's not. It's not the most consistent thing in the world either, specifically like early game when you're really looking for it. And then giving up prizes just like isn't normally good. Yes, there are advantages to it in Charizard EX, but like it's still like not great to be giving up prizes. It does give you more control over the game, but also like having to give up prizes in the early game means that your prize trade can get messed up, or you can like help your opponent's prize trade. Um, and prize race as well, specifically with like you can't really put them on odd prizes in the same way. Like normally they would kind of go into odd prizes if they knocked out a Charmander, but now they're back on even prizes, so that's not great. And there's the Pekka EX build. I have not seen too much of that, but that deck is pretty good, I think, but it's not as like high power, but it's more consistent. Anyway, Charizard Pidgeot, it's solid, not like amazing into the meta right now, though it's not that bad. Raging Ogerpon, um, this one I'm not exactly sure where to put. I think I'll put it in. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's the best turbo deck. I don't like its late game still. Right? Its late game still not great, even with Pheasantipede EX. And of course, you got like Pokestop. And then if you have Energy in hand, you can draw a few extra cards with like Ogerpon and Radiant Greninja. But its late game's like still bad. And so it also has like counters which are bad for it. But I think it's I think I'm trying to like think how many decks I want to put in A tier and how many in B tier. I'm deciding between those two. I think I'll put it in B tier. I might get moved up to A tier later. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this, consider subscribing. Most of my viewers are not subscribed, but you're watching all my videos, just subscribe. And if you're not watching my videos, check some out. There's a bunch of different types of videos, and consider liking and commenting down below as well. But Sorry, Gardevoir. Gardevoir, I guess, is also A tier. I feel like I often group it with Charizard in my mind now. They're just two decks. I mean, they're not very similar, but Gardevoir has good comeback potential. Well, it kind of has to come back because you can't really attack that quickly. The fastest, I believe you can. Well, okay, you could play Rare Candy, but I think lists now are not playing any Rare Candy, so the fastest you can attack is turn two going second, which is not that fast. So, Gardevoir is not a bad deck. It's a good deck. I think Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have like too many new cards, but like Monkey Doors like can do-ish, and that's obviously helped the deck out a lot. It has the ability to one-shot pretty much every Pokemon in the game on a single prizer. It does have issues with like Lost Vacuum, but that's not being played as much right now. I feel like the Lost Vacuum thing's like a big issue. I don't hear it talked about that much, but I do feel like it's a pretty big issue for the deck. But as I said, it's not played that much now. It's played some, but less than it was, I believe. So that's good for you. I think Gardevoir is still very good. I think it's worse than Charizard because it has less options, specifically in the early game, right? You're just a slower deck, but it is a good deck. Then we have Lugia Archeops. I'm not a big fan of this deck. I feel like it's very inconsistent, but I will put it in A tier. I think it's like a solid deck. Nothing super crazy, but yeah, you got a decent late game. It depends, like how you talk about late game. It doesn't have any draw engine really. So like getting Iona or boss late game, or even potentially your Pokemon is hard. But then getting the energy is free. You just don't. You just have them, right? You just have Archeops in play, so you can always have your energies, and that's really important. So Lugia is it's a deck that can also do a bunch of different things. Specifically, as I mentioned with Gardevoir, you can one-shot any Pokemon with a single prizer, so or any normal Pokemon. So Chinchino's really good. And then you have Iron Hands EX to take extra prizes, and you also have I don't know, those are the big ones, but you do have like Lugia V-Star, which is just an okay attacker. Okay as in like pretty solid, can compete and stuff. So Lugia is a solid deck. Iron Thorns EX, I'm gonna have to put an S tier. Obviously, if you don't know, it won the World Championships. And it did. It's not like it was some like weird fluke either, because it came second in the juniors division and it placed well in day two. In general, it just did quite well at the World Championships, much better than I was expecting. I knew it was a good deck on a ladder, but I just wasn't convinced that it was good in tournaments, but it was. So, yeah, no. Now I have no doubts about the deck being like, really good. I think Iron Thorns EX is one of the best decks in the game. I could put it at the top. I don't think it's the best deck in the game. It just feels weird to say it is. I feel like it's not. So I will have Regidraco above it. I could see switching them though. But yeah, I mean it just counters all the top decks, so that's good. It is a counter deck though. It doesn't like counter the not top decks, which is kind of funny. Well, it counters some, but not like for example, Ancient Box. Like Ancient Box just cooks Iron Thorns. There's nothing you can do against it. So Ancient Box is like, or like others like I don't know. I don't know how United Wings Iron Thorns matchup is. I have no idea. That seems like such a weird matchup. But I feel like Iron Thorn or United Wings would be pretty good there. Um, yeah, same thing with like Greninja that like probably beats Iron Thorn. Whatever. So Miraidon, I'm gonna put in B tier. I am not a big fan of the deck. I feel like it's not a bad deck. It's just like an okay deck. It's a solid deck. Certainly one that you can play and do well with. I'll say B tier is like B and above is good, and then C and below is like not great. Though I think all the decks on this list are okay, but D is not great. D is kind of bad. But yeah, Miraidon's like okay. I don't know. It's fine. I feel like Regional Ogerpon and then Turbovoring Moon here. There we go. I found it. I feel like those are better than Miraidon because they're faster and can do more damage. Miraidon, no, maybe it's better than I'm giving it credit for with the Knight Academy, giving you better access to energies off of Electric Generator because you need energies from the top of your deck. Knight Academy puts them there. So that's pretty good. It has a better late game than Raging Bull Ogre Pond, and I guess a little more versatility, not like that much more. But it's a solid deck. I will put it below Raging Bull Ogre Pond though. Then Turbo Roaring Moon, I will put in. This is hard. Like it came second at the Worlds and the Masters, which is like the I'd say it's the main division, right? So yeah, I think it's. But then it didn't like do that well outside. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It feels kind of weird. I definitely group all these decks together though as like the turbo decks, and I feel like they're okay. In long drawn out games, things will go very badly for you because you'll just run out of resources. But in the early game, like turn one, they're the best decks in the game. But obviously the game's more than one turn. But if these decks have the way, it might only be one turn, or it might um, essentially be one turn because they get off an insane board state turn one, and you can't really do anything about it. But yeah, they're solid decks. Definitely ones you can do well with, but they lack a layer of depth within the late game. So that is why they are in this tier. Then Asian Box, we got Let's see. This one's pretty good. I definitely used to think this deck was really bad, and I think it kind of was, but now it's pretty good into the meta game. Specifically, it's really good against Iron Thorns, which is very good. And other, it's not like bad into these other decks. It's not like great. It's okay. But I'll put Ancient Box in A tier. I think with the addition of Pekra and EX, I like that deck a lot more. Because it now has much better consistency, and I'm trying to think like Night Stretcher's been good for it as well. I don't know. I think it's just okay. It's pretty good. I could put it in B tier. I generally am not a big fan of it, but I don't know. I just feel like it's pretty good in this current meta game. I can't exactly explain why, but I do think it is. Snorlax control, Snorlax stall is I'm not really sure where to put this deck. It's still a very good ladder deck, but it's not the best. It's like not great into the current meta game because well, maybe it's good to Veggie Draco. I don't really know. It's not like I'm basing it to that, but like it's terrible into Iron Thorns. It's not great into Charge. It depends on the build of Charizard, but it's certainly not a great matchup unlike how it used to be. Same thing with Gardevoir. Um, Lugia, in my opinion, is one of its worst matchups. Ancient Box, I guess, is really bad too with Pekka and EX. So I'm gonna put it in top of B tier. I think it like it was a really good deck. I think just it is a solid deck put into the metagame, which is very important for I mean any deck, but especially a control deck. Snorlax is a deck that really um, just struggles, right? You're not able to do any apply any pressure in the early game, and then decks can just kind of take their time, and then also they can control prizes with something like Charge of Pidgeot. It's just a big mess. So yeah, I think Snorlax is not great in the current meta game, but I do think it is still a very good deck, just like in general. So I will put it in B tier. Next, I want to talk about Pidgeot control, right? That seems like a logical place to go next, as well as Luxray control, Luxray Pidgeot control. I did not realize these were grouped as two separate decks, but they were as I was looking through. So Pidgeot control is I'm trying to think. This is it's going to be an A tier deck, the lowest A tier deck. The tiers are ordered. I don't think I said that, but yeah, I mean, you just have a lot of different options. There's a lot of stuff to say about the deck, but we're not going to get into that now. It's still very good. You got plenty of options, but also it's not like super fast, and the metagame's not that fast right now, but that means decks are more like able to play slower games and are they're more comfortable in those games like Charizard with Dusknoir or decks playing Pekka EX or I mean, Gardevoir is a deck that's a slow deck. Iron Thorns is a slow deck. Rigid Draco is like not the slowest deck, but not the fastest deck, and it has its V-Star power. Uh, Lugia has like, I'm trying to think what you're trying like. You can't trap anything in Lugia, so Lugia is like not going to end well for you. But it's not like bad. Pidgeot Control is still a deck that can do well, especially if you like play it well and put the right stuff in. I'm not super. I don't know a ton about the deck right now. I like kind of know how it works, but not exactly. But I know it is still a pretty good deck. Luxray Control, I think is like pretty much the same as Pidgeot Control. You do have this Luxray like burst attacking option, Great Disruption. It's like an aggro control deck where you like you are taking knockouts. Potentially, it's not like aggro control to the level of Iron Thorns where you're like actually just taking knockouts. Like you can stop your opponent from attacking. Iron Thorns, you're like not stop your opponent from attacking unless they have some like a weird, really weird board or like terror is a terrible matchup for them. Like Lugia Archeops, like that's gonna be rough, but they can still attack at some point, like 4 turns into the game. Luxray control, you can just stop that. Same with Pidgeot control and Snorlax control. You need to stop that, but Luxray control, you can just take prizes. Um, it's okay, right? It's pretty good. Has less consistency than Pidgeot Control because you're playing another stage two. You know, it's like just another stage two. But it's all right. I thought the deck was really bad, and then I played it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun and kind of solid with the new upper NG to one-shot stuff with Luxray EX specifically. I think is really good. Dragapult, I don't know why it's so low. I feel like it's higher than this, but anyways, Dragapult is gonna go in A tier below. Below Ancient Box, I'll put it. No, I'll put it above Ancient Box. I think it's pretty good. I have not seen it that much, I guess, on ladder. I've been playing a decent chunk of ladder. Normally, I don't play that much, but I don't know. I just decided to play some more. And yeah, Dragapult is not that not that common. But Dragapult is. Wait, do we see it? Yeah, we don't have Dragapult Charizard, so I'm gonna say Dragapult Charizard decks are grouped in with Dragapult. Dragapult, it plays kind of like Charizard EX, but um doesn't have that one-shotting potential, which is an issue, but it does have the spread potential, which is really good against certain decks. Honestly, no, I'm going to drop down below Ancient Box, though. If Charizard and Gardevoir were the top decks in the metagame, Dragapult would be insanely good, but it's not very good against Regidrago or Iron Thorns. Or it's not like, I don't know exactly how the matchups go, but you're not like able to completely mess up their bench, which is really unfortunate. I mean, you can over the course of a bunch of turns, but by that point you're winning the game anyway. So, um, it's not as good as Charizard Pidgeot for that reason because your single target damage is just kind of low. Not like low, low. It's 200, right? That's not like bad, but you'd wish it was better. So yeah. Then we have Lost Zone. Lost Zone's still good. I'm gonna put this one in. I think I'll put it in A tier somewhere. Um, I'll put it at the bottom of A tier. It's really hard to say. I saw like Lost Zone like once on ladder the last like few days. It's not very common. It's a solid deck. Oh, by the way, I was like playing on ladder. I was like, oh, this is a close game coming down to the wire. Live just crashes. So live doing its thing. But Lost Zone is it's okay. I mean, obviously Kyurem is really bad for it, but like people aren't playing Kyurem that much. I mean, the best deck in the game is playing Kyurem, so that's not great. It's not like people aren't teching in Kyurem, but decks are still playing it, so that's not great for you. Also, a big issue is like your Pokemon are really weak and they don't do that much damage. So you do have some like options to do big damage and stuff. Like you probably play. I don't know. I'm not very familiar with. Well, no, this is not Lost in Charizard. So you're playing what like Iron Hands EX, Roaring Moon EX. Also, sorry for this background noise, but so you're playing like EXs and stuff, and like you have some options to do good damage, but they're not like the best options. They're just like mediocre options compared to your like really weak options of Cramorant and Sableye, which are not bad Pokemon. They are very good Pokemon, but they are not like they're not one-shotting stuff. So they're not one-shotting multi-prizers. So it does have that issue. It's like a little inconsistent and slow. Um, Honestly, I'd describe it as kind of similar to Reggie Draco box, but you don't have like 300 HP, so that's not great. Next, we got let's talk about the other Lost Zone next. Giratina Lost Zone, I guess it's fine. I mean, yeah, I'll put it in B tier. I feel like its upside isn't that good. I've not seen this deck in like forever, but it's solid. I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's just a solid and mediocre deck in the metagame, and then the mediocre not being bad, but I don't think it has like the upside of a lot of the other decks either. Then we have Lost Zone Charizard. I think this is the best way to play Lost Zone, although I think they are all pretty similar. And has a lot of like it has the most consistency, which is obviously really good. And so it's able to, I mean, it's just able to like work. That's kind of good, and it works in the early game, works in the mid game. It doesn't work like it works okay in the mid game. Works like pretty well in the late game with the Radiant Charizard and Blood Mars Luna EX. So you do have this solid damage output in the late game, which you don't necessarily have in Lost Zone box to the same degree. Like the more I don't know the one I guess this one's the one with Radiant Greninja. So late game you might have issues, though I think they're pretty similar. Next, we got Chimp Excalibur. I don't think this is very good in the current metagame. I'll put it in C tier. I mean, I've seen it sometimes. It's like an okay deck, but I'd say play a turbo deck over it, or play like if you want to play something with some form of combo piece. Not that's like that combo-y, but it's somewhat combo-y because you got Rare Candy Stage 2, plus you also have the Superior Energy Retrievals, which is like kind of combo-y. Then just play Reggie Draco. I mean, Reggie Draco is like really good. Chimp Excalibur, it's not that good. It has a good damage output, but also it might miss. But more importantly, like it only has good damage output. That's the only thing it has. It has, I mean, its HP is not low for a two prize basic, but it's low compared to like Charizard DX, Pidgeot DX, which is Draco V Star, things like that. So that's an issue for it. And then Excalibur, like can get knocked out, and that can be like really bad. You can just like lose the game. And there are things that can go very badly with the deck, and there are things that can't. Like, its ceiling isn't that high, and its floor is kind of low. So it's not a bad deck, but it is not a deck that is particularly good in the metagame right now. Next, we got Goldengo. I'm also going to put Goldengo in C tier. I'll put it below Champion Excalibur. I don't think the deck's that good. Did see some play at the World Championships, which was probably to me the biggest surprise in terms of like the metagame. Was surprised Iron Thorns would run, but not like completely shocked. It was definitely something I thought could have happened. But Goldengo on on second day. I thought the deck was like kind of bad because its damage output I mean its damage output's really good, but it's kind of like Chimp but on a stage one, which like obviously you don't want to just have a stage one instead of a basic. But then you don't have the stage two, but you need to set up the stage. Anyway, Golden Go like is not great, right? It's not anything particularly special. It's a solid Pokemon. It does good damage, has like okay HP, but yeah, I feel like C tier is pretty fair for it. Greninja, I don't know. This deck's not great. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like Greninja was on the list. It was kind of high on the in the meta game, so I was like, I guess I should include it. But because there were a bunch of decks below it, I was like, yeah, I definitely want these decks in. But I don't really know exactly what they mean by this. If they just mean like Greninja, like Frostlass or something. I don't think Greninja's great in the meta game. I don't think it's terrible. It is a deck I like to play sometimes. Because sorry, I'm looking at this screen up here, and like when I move it, it flicks around. Anyways, so Greninja is it's an okay deck, nothing super special, kind of inconsistent, uh, moderate ceiling, right? You do have spread and like search options and like some semi-control options and stuff like that, but also it's not nothing too special, so I'm just gonna put it in C tier here. Palafin, I think, is a B tier deck. I think now that we can finally actually play it, it's solid. Pekron is helping it a bunch. That definitely helped out. So I'm gonna put it actually in the top of B tier. I think it's an okay deck. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen it like a ton. I saw it some for a while and played it some, and it was pretty good. It's really bad against Teamed Evolution, which some decks play, but it's a pretty good card. So I'll put it B tier. I think United Wings are gonna go C tier at the bottom of C tier. I don't think they're like completely terrible. Um, it's not like a great deck, but it does have solid damage output. It's kind of like Ancient Fox, but bad because you have less HP, and I guess your turn one damage output's good, but you can definitely run out of attackers too, and like there are a lot of things that can go wrong with the deck. If you played United Wings, Mad Party, or Night March, you know there are a lot of things that can go wrong with the deck. They're all essentially the same thing if you don't know, but yeah, well, okay, the Night March was really good. Not like it wasn't like super broken. I think some people think, oh, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how good it was, but I don't think it's like one of the best decks ever. I know I've heard some people say that. I don't think it's that. But anyways, United Wings is certainly not one of the best decks ever, but it is solid. I mean, expanded, it might be very good, but United Wings in standard is an okay deck. It's playable. Finally, it was like glitched. So, or the Ditto, which was kind of important to the deck, was glitched, but it's not glitched anymore. I might play it on the channel if I haven't already with Ditto and Dartrix, so kind of cool, but nothing super crazy. Then we got Ursaluna, Blue Moon Ursaluna with Iron Valiant, which Blue Moon Ursaluna doesn't have a picture for some reason here, so that's fun. That's D tier. It's not very good, unfortunately. I don't know. I mean, I haven't played it or played against it, but I don't think like. I know some people think this actually good. I think it's bad. I mean, it's like a single prize deck with two prize liabilities and like I guess its damage output's like good, but it's really hard to set up. So its damage output's like not great for the fact that you need to do this like crazy setup and um I played against it a few times. It just doesn't really like work. So yeah, it's not the best deck. I think it like has some okay matchups and stuff, but it is not great. Dialga Matang, I guess, is going in the bottom of C tier. It's definitely still my least favorite deck in the game to play against. I just don't like it, but and not because it's not a cool deck, but it's like you never know. You can always come back, which I guess is a good thing, but also like it's not that good, right? It's just not that good of a deck. Not too much to say about it. I mean it's inconsistent, right? So and it has like one turn or two turns, but they're kind of like one turn that is really really big, and that's it, right? The rest of the game it's just kind of bad. So that's not great. Then Bayonet. This is the Bayonet Dusk Dusknoir deck. I think this deck is C tier. I played it some. It's not great. It's not that bad. Got like a bunch of hype. I don't really know why he got like all this hype. But I think like someone played at the World Championships, but they didn't make day two. And then some like YouTubers made videos on it, which is like fine, but I mean it's not. I don't know. I feel like it's one of the more hyped decks right now, and it's like not that good. It's not bad, but it's kind of slow and mediocre. Like if you're playing Dust Noir, I mean it's an annoying deck, but I don't know. Honestly, like Venomoth Frostlass might be better than it too. But anyways, here is my ranking of every deck in the game. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts down below. But anyways, consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell. Comment down below if there are any decks I don't have on this tier list and decks I should bring up or down. But I hope you enjoyed. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.